What's up guys, and welcome back to Gabe Music. Today we're taking a look at the making of my latest song. This is an electro house track called Wake Up, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and play the drop, and then I'm going to build it up piece by piece, and then go into more detail about each element. So here we go. So that's basically as big as the drop ever gets. So let's go into the drums first of all, because they form the basis of the track, and that's what I started with. So we've got a short punchy kick, and that is tuned to be within the key of the song. We got a sub, playing the same note, except much lower down. Fairly simple there, and then we got a clap. And this clap is shifted forward to induce a driving feel, so it's a bit ahead of the beat, so it drives you forward. That's a pretty common technique in electro house and progressive house. So we got that. Play the sample by itself here. Then we got a snare, kind of supplying some a little more beef, a little more roundness. That's pretty subtly layered in there. And then finally a clap. And here each element is doing its own thing and is adding its own unique thing to the final sound, which is this. This of course is doing pretty much all the heavy lifting, and then the snare adding a little beef, and then this clap is meant to be kind of like a real clap sample. And so it's adding a bit of human feel and a bit of reverb, because I have it with the space reverb as well. So that's the clap. And as you notice, the clap is panned to the right a bit, so it balances the hi-hat, which is panned to the left a bit. And this is from the built-in drum kit designer that's built into Logic, and I have it alternate between a strong hit and a weaker hit. So you get, once again, a bit of a more human feel and a bit of a driving feel. Then up the middle is the open hat, and this is also from the drum kit designer, except the one problem I had was that the sample was too long, had too much sustain on it. So I used LFO tool as basically a transient shaper and faded out the end, so it goes like from this to and that is the drums. And after that we got the bass, so I go into the main bass and what I did to it, because I did a lot to it. So here's what it sounds like by itself. I've got a lot of processing on it, so I'll take all that off. So here's what the original massive patch sounded like. And so first of all I ran it through a distortion, add some grit, and then ran it through this built-in plugin into Logic called Bass Amp. And it's got this preset called Deep, which I use a lot to add some sub and a little bit of grit as well. So you get a nice warm distortion and some sub. So here's it without, and then I'll add it on. I got trusty LFO tool, serving the same purpose as a side-chained compressor. So and then finally we got a gain plugin on here, which is just there to make the bass mono. So here's it. It's wide and it doesn't really have any focus. It's kind of a mess, so that's what it sounds like before. and there is in mono. So we got that in the drums. And that is the basis of the track. And then from there, for the kind of complextro-y elements, that is not a word, but it is now. It was all about just finding a bunch of short little sounds to dot here and there to keep it interesting. So first of all, we got this, it's a massive patch. Comes out really quick. This whole track is very rhythm focused. It's a lot less melodic and a lot more focused on the rhythm and the way the different elements break it up. So after the wobble, which is also sidechained, we've got another growl that pops in here. And that's processed a little differently. It's got some stereo spread and a bit crusher on it. And then layered with that is this little sound, just a little sample. So layered together. That's that. And then another growl over here. Layered with this. So together we get. And at the very end we got this with a little melodic part, and that's layered with a super saw. And layered with the bass. And then finally the pluck element. Got a nice amount of delay on it, a little bit of distortion, add some grit, and of course it's sidechained as well. So we end up with now, when putting this together, I did have a basic idea of what I wanted it to sound like in mind, but a lot of it was just straight experimentation. I kind of accumulated a folder of sounds and just dragged stuff in and moved it all around until I ended up with something I dug. So it was a lot of experimentation, a lot of trying weird stuff until I found something that sounded good. And on top of that, we got the pluck. Once again, that's a massive patch, and here's it without the LFO tool on it. And then finally, this little guy right here, a little percussion-y element. Then with some side chaining. Providing the melodic element. So that is it for the drop, and now let's hop into the second breakdown here. So we got as you can see in here, that's got the high cut filter automation. And we got this. And then this saw synth right here also has high cut automation on it. So as it goes on, it builds. And then at this point I have a double for the lead. And then finally the build. So that is the same synth element that was playing the doubled melody. With a pitch plugin on it. And also got the saw doing a riser as well. And of course we got the 909 snare and a white noise whoosh, so. This also has a good amount of EQ automation on it to up the energy, and a riser. Once again, with EQ automation on it. Saw it together, and you end up with That's it for for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and if you produce your own music, found it helpful for your own productions, don't forget that I do a new song every other Monday, and on the Mondays without songs, I do a making of video for the previous songs, so you get new content from me every single week on this channel. I'm Gabe, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace out.